Let's talk about processing from the standpoint of the modern processing that's going on right now. The processing that's going on right now is oftentimes in order to increase shelf life. And what does that do? It increases funds. So whenever someone is, you want to sell something and the shelf life is 2 days, if you don't sell that in 2 days, that's gone, that's garbage. You take that off the shelf, you have to throw it away. Expiration date's right there. If you can take that 2 days and turn it into 2 weeks, now you have an increased chance of selling that product and less of a loss on the product. Does that make sense to everyone? So that's the main goal, is to actually increase shelf life. And oftentimes it's also in order to increase palatability. So it's to increase the likelihood that someone's going to eat it and eat more of it, right? Those are two of the main reasons for the processing nowadays. Some of these examples of this type of processing include removing some of the bran from the wheat. So they remove wheat bran, wheat germ, and then they give you what? Flour at the end, right? What's flour? It's the carbohydrate rich, just the white part of the whole grain, right? And now you see that in the last 10, 15 years or so, everyone's moving towards whole grain. 10, 15 years ago, you walk down the aisle, you would see it's all white bread, and then on the bottom corner side, you see a little bit, 1 or 2 loaves of, whole wheat bread. Maybe, for the hippies. Milana would be picking up some of that. Looking on the bottom right, it'd be like the one with the one with the actual fungus growing on it. Why? Because the fungus would not want to grow on the other bread. There was an example, I don't know if this is true or not, but there was a Big Mac or some type of McDonald's sandwich that someone kept on the table and put like a glass box around and left that there for like a year or something and nothing grew on it. Anyone ever heard of that? I'm pretty sure it was a real experiment that somebody did. Either way, it serves a good purpose, a good example to show you that the bacteria, germs will not grow on something that's not vital, doesn't have life. And if they don't want to grow on it, then why would we want to consume it? Something that goes bad rapidly and readily is something that you want to consume, because that means that other pathogenic bacteria and other bacteria in general, fungi, viruses, they want to grow inside of there. Why? Because it's a beneficial substance. So we should get it at the freshest point and then consume it, right? I don't know how I got there. Okay, so processing, that's one. So getting to the white rice, and white rice is another form of processing. Now, white rice, if I'm not mistaken, it was developed in China, and they may have had a reason as to why they were polishing the rice and stuff like that, because it wasn't an easy process. But you can get whole grain rice, and it has some of the more B vitamins in it, right? You can get whole grain bread. Now, what's the benefit of eating the whole grain bread? And what's better than whole grain is whole grain sprouted bread, right? We talked about sprouting. There's actually bread. It's called Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread. That's one of the best breads. It's the only bread that we get in our household. We get sourdough bread as well. And here and there, we'll buy some whole wheat naans. But Ezekiel bread is one of the best breads out there. It's sprouted bread that they actually take the time and energy to sprout. And then it's also whole wheat, so it has a ton of the B vitamins and vitamin E from the wheat germ in it. And these are things that are required. A lot of people who have vitamin E deficiencies have a lot of issues with sexual organ dysfunction, right? So you have to think about that. How is that happening? Well, vitamin E is required. It's an antioxidant. It's required in the body. You can have skin issues, increased scarring. If you have 2 individuals and you cut both of them at the same depth, the same length, in the same location, one individual may scar, one individual may not scar. You ever ask yourself, why would that happen? Physiologically, why would that happen? It must mean that the 2 individuals, even though they have very, 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 very similar DNA, right? There's both humans, 2 eyes, 2 ears, a few different limbs, bilateral, right? But why is it that one individual is scarring, one individual is not scarring? And they both did not treat it. There's no topical application of anything on there. It's because of the actual individual one individual has a different makeup than the other. One may have the required level of zinc, which is a mineral that is required to repair the body, and one individual may not have enough zinc. And what's interesting is they may be eating the same diet. How does that make any sense? Can anyone explain that to me? They're eating the same exact diet. Absorption, exactly. So one individual is absorbing it, one is not. There's also, one individual may have a higher need due to certain circumstances in their life, but the main reason is absorption. And let me tell you how absorption can be changed in an individual. I get into a car accident, right? And in that car accident, my head hits the steering wheel. Now, when the head hits the steering wheel, it affects the neck, right? And affects all the musculature in the head. That tension going from the head will actually affect the nerve that's coming out of the back of the head, which is called the vagus nerve. Has anyone ever heard of the vagus nerve before? It's in the news a lot and stuff like that. They're talking about, there's a lot of articles about it talking about how the vagus nerve affects the whole entire body. It's a really important nerve. The vagus nerve innervates or sends a signal to majority of the abdominal organs, right? One of them including the stomach. So that tension on the skull from me getting into that car accident can actually affect and put tension on the back of the head, which will affect the nerve, which will actually have an impact on the digestive ability of my body. So I'm eating the same meal as you're eating, but I'm absorbing less than you're absorbing. It takes a lot of stomach acid in order to absorb minerals. They're very tightly bound inside of the proteins.